J.J. Watt. Pass is caught. Diggs! Side he broke his ankles. Lightning strike from McCaffrey.
We're having fun. We get to have fun here. This is what it's all about.
Yes, I understand the Masters is here. This is the Swank Tank. We are NFL only 24/7, 365. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Masters is super exciting. I've got some DFS stuff going. I'm in a pool with all my buddies. I'm sure you are too. I'm sure you're looking very much forward to the Masters. And heck, outside of this show, I'd love to talk to you more about it. But here on the Swank Tank, we're NFL only 24/7, 365. Welcome in to episode 47 of the Swank Tank. It is Thursday morning, April 9th, and we have some interesting NFL news to break down. I'm going to give you my domino of the 2026 NFL Draft. What does that mean, Swank? What do you mean by domino? This player, to me, dictates how the first round of the draft will go. This player has all the power in terms of if he goes at this pick, the draft will look very different. If he goes just one or two picks later, the draft will look drastically different. This one player, to me, will control how this draft goes, especially the first round, of course. This player. Who is it? Go ahead, take a guess, or wait about 5 minutes and I'll tell you. After that, Sexy Dexy. Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade from the New York Giants. Spent 7 seasons there, all 7 of his NFL career in New York, requested a trade. Do I think he'll be traded? If so, where do I think he'll be traded? Outside of that, we'll get some other NFL news just to mention, some signings, some recent moves, all that good jazz. Welcome into episode 47. If you are not already, make sure and go and follow at the Swank Tank on all the socials. We have surpassed 1,000 followers on Instagram. That has been a goal of mine for a few months now. We have surpassed it. If you are following, thank you, thank you, thank you. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. That's where you're going to find us. Working on getting on, not iTunes, but Apple Podcast here before the season gets started in August. Make sure to go follow, subscribe on YouTube, of course. Appreciate you so much for being here. I know there's a lot going on. College basketball just wrapped up. You got the Masters going on. It's NFL quote off season, but we are ramping up towards the draft, sprinkling a little my domino for the 2026 draft. A lot of draft talk coming next week and the week after, so stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout for those clips. Appreciate you guys so much. Welcome in to episode 47. Without further ado, let's get into it. My domino. My guy, it got a little dark there, using my screen here for some light. If you're watching, let's get into my domino. The guy that I think will dictate this 2026 first round of the NFL draft. Let's do it. Let's break it down. This episode is going to be just a little bit shorter than a usual one, probably around 25 to 30 minutes. Most have been 45, 50 minutes, up to an hour 15. Just kind of depends and varies. Been a crazy week with Easter over here and a lot of other things going on. Woo, we're a little bit tired, but we pushed through. This is what it's all about, the NFL offseason, your one-stop shop. All right, let's get into this. So looking around a bunch of mock drafts. Obviously, the mock draft season started right after the Seattle Seahawks won the 2026 Super Bowl, of course. Looking at a lot of those mock drafts from mid-February until now in early to mid-April, a few things have remained true. There's been a few different, variances, differences of opinions and whatnot, but these few players, I'm about to name, have been very consistent in not only their placements, but their relative placements as well. Not only their specific spots, like Mendoza going number 1, but relatively like being top 5 or top 10. Mendoza, right? Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, and David Bailey have, for the most part, been towards the very top, within the top 5, along with Spencer Fano and others kind of being in that mix as well. So there's been a good amount of players that have consistently been within the top 5 or right around it. My domino has been placed at number 2, at number 3, at number 5, at number 7. I mean, I could just keep on going. Number 12, I just recently saw him. I've seen him later than 12. This guy has been all over mock draft boards because it's not that they don't realize his potential. It's not that they don't realize he's a phenomenal athlete and player. It's potentially his position limiting his ceiling given the first round of the draft. This specific position doesn't typically get drafted high. Or let me rephrase. super high in the first round of the NFL draft, typically. But this is not a typical player. Therefore, he's my domino, right? There's one player in this draft, in the 2026 draft, I'm calling my domino, right? The one that can make everything fall down and fall potentially out of place if picked incorrectly. This is my domino. I've seen this player in the top 3. I've seen him out of the top 12. My domino is indeed Caleb Downs from Ohio State. Safety, of course. He is my domino for the 2026 NFL Draft. The whole first round can change around this one player. Wherever Caleb Downs goes, I think the draft can drastically vary. If he goes at 3, I think things change a lot for certain teams. If he goes at 12, I think teams can potentially try to move up before that, right? Obviously, that would be hindsight, him going at 12. The longer he remains or the shorter he remains, I feel like things are really going to get tossed up in the air. Things are really going to change and alter in these war rooms, right? The big rooms of these organizations, the big draft rooms. I think things will change the longer he's there or the less longer, I should say, he's there. 3 seasons at Ohio State, 44 games played, 257 total tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles. Alongside that is the Jim Thorpe winner, best, I believe, defensive back award in 2025, national champion in 2025, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. His resume is unbelievable. He is, to me, clearly the best defensive back in this class. He's by far the best safety in this class, of course. Caleb Downs, wherever he goes, he's the domino. He dictates how this first round, especially within the top 15, will play out, right? The resume speaks for itself. He's an absolute dog, national champion, all these awards, all these accolades, right? But outside of the accolades, this young man is one of the smartest players in this draft. Smartest. Has a lot of experience on a phenomenal, obviously, championship-winning team in Ohio State. It's his brain and his football IQ is on another playing field, in all honesty. According to Peter Schrager, Matt Patricia told him, quote, Downs will be the smartest player on whichever team drafts him and should be a face of the franchise. That's a quote from Peter Schrager's show from Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator of Ohio State. Former of the New England Patriots, of course. So not only is he experienced, not only can he fly all over the field and be an unbelievable athlete for you in the defensive backfield, but my God, he's wicked smart in terms of football IQ. He knows where to be, placement-wise, all the good things, all the things you want in a leader of not only your defense, but of your franchise, Caleb Downs brings to the table. And the main reason he dictates, especially how this first 15 picks will go and how it could all change based around him, is because his value to me is really exponential. Like, I don't care what position he plays, he's being undermined or he's being put later in mock drafts. Let's say pick 12 to Dallas, right? Or whatever it is. Purely because he plays safety. People don't value safety as much, of course, as they do quarterback or maybe O-line or maybe D-end, right? It's just typically how it's gone. In my personal opinion, Caleb Downs is a top 5 pick. That is my personal opinion from what I've seen him do in college, all of it. Just all of it. And I think a lot of you would agree out there, but again, people undervalue, or at least some people doing mock drafts out there, and franchises in the past have maybe undervalued the safety position, at least when it comes to drafting them super high. That's what we've seen in the past. We've seen in the past before. And going back to those kind of top 12, top 15 picks in this year's draft here in a few weeks, those picks could change, of course. Teams can make trades in and out of those first 15. But realistically, every team in the top 12 to 15 could use a guy like Caleb Downs, right? Who couldn't use a guy like this? There's very few teams, I feel like, that would not want a guy like Caleb. Well, scratch that. Every team wants a Caleb Downs. Obviously, some teams are not going to be in the market for him. Obviously, some teams feel strong enough about their secondary. Let's call it Houston, maybe Denver, maybe Seattle, teams like that wouldn't obviously move up to get him or wouldn't spend a first-round pick on him given who they've got. But realistically, the teams in the top 12 or even 15 could all go with Caleb Downs. I think they, in some form or fashion, could use a player like this. He's been mocked to the Giants. He's been mocked to the Jets. He's honestly been mocked all over. But when you get to pick 7 specifically, things get very interesting for Caleb Downs. Number 7 is the Commanders. Could definitely see him landing in Washington, D.C. 8 is the Saints. They've got Justin Reed back there. Would they invest in a guy like Caleb Downs at 8 when they have a lot of kind of skill position needs, in my opinion? Number 9 is the Chiefs. If he's there at 9, the Chiefs should absolutely take him. Absolutely. I've seen Delane maybe be taken at 9. If Caleb Downs is at pick number 9, the Chiefs will be licking their lips, drooling, foaming at the mouth that Caleb Downs fell to number 9. The Chiefs obviously have lost a lot of secondary pieces. They lost Cook to the Bengals, Watson and McDuffie to the Rams. 3 starters for them. So clearly they need to make some moves in the secondary all over. Caleb Downs will be a home run draft pick at 9 for the Chiefs. And I can very much see that happening. 10 is the Bengals. I just mentioned they took Cook from the Chiefs in free agency. They could definitely still use help, right? They could still use help. I believe they made one other signing as well, maybe Battle. They could still use it. 11 is the Dolphins. Yes, you have Minka Fitzpatrick. Dolphins are rebuilding. Could Caleb Downs be that cornerstone of the rebuild on defense? Maybe so. Maybe so. 12 is Dallas, which makes too much sense. Yes, they signed Thompson, I believe, in the offseason from Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. But let's be real here. Caleb Downs in Dallas would feed families. He really would. So there's a lot of teams in these top 12 picks that not only should have interest in Downs, but will have interest in Downs. This Caleb Downs dictates how this first round goes. It does. If he is sitting there at 8, does Dallas move up? Right? Do the Chiefs jump 1 pick? Right? Do the Dolphins say, screw it, this is going to be our building piece, our cornerstone of our secondary for 8 years? I want this guy. Probably not, but never know. The Bengals could definitely still use more secondary help, as always, over there. If he's floating around 6, 7, 8, what teams at 10, 11, 12, 13 maybe take a chance and move up and go get him? I'm just saying, Caleb Downs is this domino, right? He is this domino, in my personal opinion. Things get real shaken up wherever he goes or doesn't go, given his talent, experience, football IQ, and the several teams potentially targeting him. This player could change how the entire 2026 first round NFL draft goes. He could change it all. He really could. He really, really could. So watch out for Downs wherever he goes. It'd be interesting to see where he gets mocked at kind of the week of the NFL draft, whether it's top 5 or not top 5. He's uber talented. I think he should go top 5, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. He does not control that for the most part. We'll see where Caleb Downs lands. He's the guy that could turn the tables, right? Not only for your franchise, but in this first round of the draft. We'll see where he lands. Again, a little bit of a shorter episode for episode 47 here. Really appreciate you tuning in, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube. As always, really, really appreciate it. Let's keep it moving. And let's talk about Dexter Lawrence here. Dexter Lawrence has stated he would like to be traded from the New York Giants. Let's break this all down. Career stats, Sexy Dexy, what he's, his stats as of late, why he wants to be traded, where he could potentially go. Let's break it all down. Let's do it. They call him Sexy Dexy for a reason, because he's been damn good. Drafted 17th overall in the 2019 NFL Draft out of Clemson. Has spent all 7 seasons in the NFL with the New York Giants. Career regular season stats and accolades for Dexter. 30.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and an interception. You may be hearing those stats or seeing those stats or whatever it may be, and you're thinking, 7 seasons, 30.5 sacks, that doesn't jump off the page to me. Swank, why are we talking about Dexter Lawrence on this show? If you know ball, let me take a step back. Just because maybe you don't know how good Dexter Lawrence is, that doesn't mean you don't know ball. Let me take a step back. If you watch Dexter Lawrence play, you know his effect is greater than just what his stats show. 100%. Dexter Lawrence is, in essence, they're nowhere near the same player, but in essence, a Vince Wilfork, Devondre Sweat-esque player. It's a guy where the numbers may not be jumping off the page, but his effect on the field is so much greater than any of those numbers. It's not even close. They're not even comparable. Double teams he's taking on, the amount of space he takes on, the amount of gaps he takes up, forcing the runners in his lane to bounce it outside, to then get tackled by a Brian Burns, right? Or a Abdul Carter, right? Even though Abdul, rough rookie season. His effect is so much greater than the stat sheet. And a lot of people know that, but if you don't, just got to get that state and get that out there. The stats are still good, though. I mean, these are still very respectable stats. Dexter's more than just a stat guy, of course. So that needs to be known. He is 6'4", 340 pounds. He's a nightmare matchup-wise. And in New York, I'm going to postpone saying this for another few minutes. We'll get into it just a little bit later. But I love him in New York. He belongs in New York. He's been there for 7 seasons for a reason. He should stay in New York. We're going to get to that here in just a few minutes, though. Harbaugh called this guy, Sexy Dexy, he called this guy the middle stone. Not the cornerstone, the middle stone on purpose because of his interior presence and his size. Kind of funny. So he's not the cornerstone of the franchise. He's the middle stone of the franchise because he takes up so much damn space. The dude is 340 pounds, 6'4". He is a refrigerator. He is a unit. He will not be pushed around. He is your defensive anchor that you dream of. He's the guy you don't got to worry about when he runs out there on the field that's going to get embarrassed or, oh my gosh, they're going to run by him. It just will not happen with him. He's been one of the best interior defensive linemen since entering the league 7 years ago. He remains to be very, very elite. That's why we talk about him on the show. His effect might be bigger than you understand. It might just be, especially for the New York Giants. He signed a 4-year, $90 million extension back in 2024. At the time, made him one of the highest paid interior defensive linemen in the league. In 2026, he'll be paid a base salary of $18.5 million and $18 million base in 2027. His cap hit, which includes incentives, et cetera, in 2026 will be $26.96 million. So about $8 million more than his base salary. That's a pretty big cap hit, all things considered. Let's call it $27 million in 2026 for an interior defensive lineman. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You look at what some of these edge rushers just got paid in the offseason. Like let's call it Jalen Phillips. He's getting around $30 million a year. I mean, this isn't far off from that. Is he in that same category as them? I think yes. Maybe some other teams don't. I think yes, most definitely. Dexter Lawrence getting paid what he currently is well-deserved to me. Well-deserved. I don't love that he's kind of getting into some, not necessarily arguments, but negotiations or, he's just not necessarily satisfied with his contract. He's coming off a down year in 2025. I don't love what he's necessarily doing. I'll be honest with you. I don't love him necessarily asking for a trade. The Giants are very much trending in the right direction. They've been on the steady decline for a while. How many head coaches has Dexter Lawrence been with? It's got to be at least 4 now. Harbaugh would maybe make his 4th. Dable, Joe Judge. I'm missing one in there, I think. I think this is his 4th. And entering his 8th year, it might be his 5th. I need to go look that up later. But Dexter Lawrence, to me, is getting paid accurately, and I don't love that he's not necessarily happy with his contract and where he's at within the organization at the moment. Continuing on the lines of contract and money-wise, etc., any trade process before that June 1st deadline would generate roughly even figures-ish in terms of cap savings and dead money chargers. But a trade after June 1st, that June 1st deadline, would give the Giants $20 million in savings while resulting in just $7 million in dead money. So if he is going to be traded, again, this is April 9th. If he's going to be traded, it's not going to be for a while. The Giants are too smart of an organization. They'll trade him post June 1st. Will he be traded? That's the question. But if they are going to trade him, which I very much believe they don't want to do, and that's been actually well known now for the past few days, Harbaugh wants him in New York. I'm sure that entire organization does. If they are going to trade Lawrence, it will be after June 1st. So don't be looking out for, next week it could happen or, in May. No. I mean, it could, but it won't. It would be post June 1st. It'd be post, given how much they could save if they trade him then. So across not only, of course, this offseason, but last offseason as well a little bit. Had some worries about the team, contract issues in the past offseason. It's finally hit the boiling point. It is very evident it has. He's asked for the trade. So, let me ask you. Will Dexter Lawrence, the 3-time Pro Bowler, coming off a down year in 2025 with less than 1 sack. He played in all 17 games, just had a 0.5, a half sack. He had just half a sack in 2025. He's more than just what the stats show or say. But coming off a down year, for his standards, will Dexter Lawrence be traded? I ask you that. And I want your opinion. And I'm going to give you mine. No. I do not think Dexter Lawrence will be traded. In the NFL, typically when a guy asks for a trade, what do you think normally happens? Do you think they get traded or do you think they don't? Obviously, it depends on contract, depends on stature, and it depends on market. Right? Those are the 3 main things. How big is the market for Dexter Lawrence right now? Not hot. We're in April. Maybe a month ago, it was way hotter. I mean, teams have made a lot of moves, and the draft's 2 or 3 weeks away. It's not very hot. It's really not, all things considered. Contract, $27 million-ish in 2026, cap hit. Especially before June 1st, if you're looking at that trade. It's not something I think I'd be eager to take on necessarily as a team. You would love a guy like Dexter. Is that contract appealing to you? Not really as well. Not really. So factoring all those things in, I don't think he gets traded. Alongside that, the New York Giants don't want to trade him. Like Harbaugh's come out and said that. It's just very evident. Why would you want to trade essentially your best defensive player? Maybe the most important to this team. I would say actually most definitely the most important defensive piece to the New York Giants. And they're absolutely trending, people. So I don't think he gets traded, although he's very much stated he wants to be. I think give him a few months, he'll calm down. Harbaugh's in the building. Dart is obviously the QB1 of the future if he can stay healthy. Scadabo's coming back. Neighbors coming back. They're bringing Likely. They've made some other major signings. You got the draft coming up with the drafting 5th overall in 2026. The Giants are very much on the incline, no longer the decline. I think he'll become happier over the coming months. So, no, I don't think he's going to be traded. The Giants don't want to trade him. I think he'll become happier. I think he's getting paid, quite honestly, what he's worth in 2026, especially given his 2025 year. The interior defensive line behind him in New York does not look very promising. They got Robertson Harris, Darius Alexander kind of behind him to fill the void. A lot of factors here playing into this. And for all of those reasons, Dexter Lawrence to me will not be traded. Giants want him to stay. I think he'll become happier as the Giants continue to incline. The draft's around the corner. The market's not hot. He's got a high contract, and the depth behind him in New York is not good. It's not very good at the moment. So for all of those factors, I don't think Dexter Lawrence is going anywhere. I very much expect him to be in the blue and silver in 2026 and the red, if you want to throw that in there. I think he'll become a lot happier. I think he will. Now, let's just say, hypothetically, he gets traded. Who are some potential suitors to land Dexter Lawrence or to trade for Dexter Lawrence? Let's say around draft time, Giants say, screw it, he's unhappy, we'll get rid of him. What about the Vikings? They're in kind of cap hell, quite honestly, but I think the Vikings could be a very good landing spot for him if he were to be traded. They lost Hargrave and they lost Jonathan Allen in the offseason. Interior defensive line is a main focus for the Minnesota Vikings heading into the draft and beyond, into 2026. I mean, Dexter would be perfect here. Perfect. And you don't think Kevin O'Connell's going to like a guy like Dexter Lawrence on the other side of the ball? It'd be a great fit. It really would. I think that would be my number one spot for him if they could figure out the cap situation. That's my number one spot for Dexter. Number 2, 49ers. Yes, I know they just got made some moves in the offseason, bringing in some more interior defensive line help. They're going to be obviously getting healthier as the offseason moves along, getting Fred Warner back, other key pieces. They already have Alfred Collins over there. They already got the guy from Dallas who I cannot pronounce his last name, but I'll spell it out for you, Odighiziuwa. I can't even pronounce that, guys. Like, is that bad? I've tried. You get it. The 49ers have made moves. They already have some good interior defensive linemen, but it would be a good fit. Let's be real. The Chiefs could be a good suitor with Chris Jones getting up there in age, could help out on the inside. The Bengals, they lost Trey Hendrickson. They ironically brought in Jonathan Allen, who we just mentioned a few minutes ago, but could always need more help alongside Boye Mafe and Allen himself. There's some other teams that could be interested. If he's going to be traded, I think Minnesota would be a really, really nice spot for him. Houston, if they can find the cap, could be a nice spot for him as well. They need some interior D-line. They're going to definitely assess that in the early rounds in the draft. There's teams out there that could very much use interior defensive line help. Those two could be very good, along with some of those others I named. So, no, I do not think Dexter Lawrence gets traded. For all those reasons I've already named. We'll see. High impact guy, big boy. They call him Sexy Dexy for a reason. Love his celebrations. When he gets a big-time sack or a big-time play, I think he'll remain a Giant. That's my personal opinion. You let me know what you think, though. All right, let's wrap this thing up with some other league news going on. I told you it's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode. We'll have a much longer one next week for you as we get closer to the draft. Number 1, Daniel Falele. Falele. Yeah, Falele. You know him. Guard from the Ravens. Been a really good piece for them over the past few years. Falele to the Giants, of course, on a 1-year deal. So Daniel Falele joins the New York Ravens. Oh, my bad. Excuse me. The New York Giants or just the Ravens? I forget at this point with Harbaugh and Likely and now Falele. And I believe their punter went over there too, did he not? I'm pretty sure he did. Over there in New York. I mean, Harbaugh's just bringing his boys. It's like college. It's almost like college football. You know, a new head coach gets paid the bag over at a big-time school, and bye-bye to like 15 players in the portal. Bye-bye. Iowa State to Penn State. You got Summerall to Florida doing it with Tulane. We're not talking college ball here. It's NFL only. But you get what I'm saying. Falele to the New York Giants. Great move. I mean, always a good move when you're going out and getting some offensive linemen, building the trenches. Great move for the Giants. Or should I say the New York Ravens. The Texans, big-time news coming out of Houston, picked up fifth-year options on both C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson, keeping them in the H through the 2027 season and allowing for ongoing contract negotiations. I'm not going to deep dive into this because the main purpose is they're trying to extend both. I'm actually going to just take a quick step back and say they're 1,000 billion trillion % trying to extend Will Anderson. It is very much a make or break year for CJ Stroud, but they have agreed to obviously pick up his option for 2027. So the goal is to figure out if Stroud's the guy this season, and if he is, then give him the extension. If he's not, then you got some things to figure out. Will Anderson, they're just buying time, quite literally, because they want to pay him a bag, and he deserves the bag. He'll be there, I think, for his entire career. Stroud, it's a make-or-break year. We'll talk much more about C.J. Stroud come July, August, and, of course, into the season. I will guarantee you that. But both their fifth-year options have been picked up. Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, I don't know if you've seen this news. I'm not going to speak on it at the moment. We'll give it a week. I'm sure other things will come out. To me, it's being absolutely overblown, blown out of proportion. It's quite honestly a made-up story to a degree. That's all I'm going to say. We're not going to dive into it here. Do with that what you will. Go have fun on Twitter with it. Not really here to talk about it. I had to bring it up because it's been swirling around my Twitter page for 48 hours like crazy. But no further comment because there's not enough news on it, and I think it's not really real. Last thing. The backup refs will begin their training soon. Still no really update on, the CBA agreement or that just means collective bargaining agreement. The CBA and the NFLPA and the NFLRA, still no update whatsoever on that front. The backup refs, though, will begin training very soon. God bless. God bless. Just nightmare. That's just a nightmare. Hate to wrap up the show like that, but it's a nightmare. Alrighty. Last thing I'll say. The Masters, obviously, enjoy it this weekend. There's a no-phone policy. Could you imagine if there was a no-phone policy in the Super Bowl? Would it have any effect? Would it do anything? Just a question I got to ask you as we are now in Masters weekend. They do a no-phone effect at the Masters. If they did that for the Super Bowl, would it do anything? Would it have any effect? Welcome to the offseason, people. Eric Woods around offseason. We got so much more to talk about on upcoming episodes, especially these next two for the draft coming up here in just 2 weeks. Stay tapped in. Stay tuned in on all the socials at the Swank Tank. Appreciate you guys so much. Go leave a comment, drop a follow, whatever you want to do. Appreciate you guys helping out the page and following and listening along all the way through if you made it to the very end. Appreciate you guys so much. We will see you next week. Have a great Masters weekend. Adios.